Hello, broadcasting to you live from the Laniakea supercluster, the Orion spiral arm of the Milky Way galaxy, the solar system, planet Earth, North America, the United States of America, somewhere east of Los Angeles that is burning. Today is Thursday, January 9th, 2025. And this is the Agree to Disagree show. My name is Brian Engelman. This is TV's Blake Walley. Follow the New American Media on X at American_media_. Follow Blake on X at TV's BLAKEWALLEY. And of course, find the Agree to Disagree podcast on Spotify. And subscribe to our Rumble and YouTube channel, The New American Media. And link up with us there. Blake's archive is at thenextlevelnews.com. Blake, oh, man, you lived in Los Angeles briefly. I lived in Los Angeles for a while. Those will be our number one stories that we cover on today's episode. But before we get into the topics and such, just what's been your take the past couple of days? I know these places are very personal to me. The Palisades and Malibu and all of these areas, they hold a very special place to me. Memories and I have, and events I've been to, events I've worked, places, friends, and this really sucks for me. This was my home for a long time. I lived in Los Angeles for many years, and just watching the mismanagement of a formerly great city allow this to happen has just been brutal. So I'll get into all that, as we start digging into the stories. But I don't know. What's this been like for you? You were a brief Angelino. Unlike me, I was there for a long time. And I don't even know where to begin with my friends and family and the place. Like, I don't even know who to call and talk to. It's just like, holy shit. Like, I've been to all these places. I've driven down all these roads. I've eaten dinner there. I've been to an event there. Like, it's all just gone. It looks just like Lahaina. So anyway, Blake, what say you? Have we lost Angeles? Yeah, good question, Kenneth.
Good question, man. It's not over yet, so we'll have to see what the aftermath is. But yeah, it's been sloppy management, absolutely. I could still be in LA if it wasn't for the the lockdown. So I had to flee because I didn't want to deal with any of that. I lost all my gig work, and there was no point for me to be there anymore. And then they were going to try to force me into taking the jab to do a lot of those, gig jobs. Yeah, no, I had just gotten hired on the 69th floor of the tallest building in LA, the best views of the city at the OUE Sky Center, US Bank Tower, 69th, 70th floors, going to just do a little part-time bartending. But just a couple weeks after I got hired, all of a sudden it was March, and then it was the lockdown, 2 weeks to flatten the curve. It's March Madness, and then that got canceled, and then it was like, okay, well, I guess I'm out of work. And then I just kind of bounced around. But did not I only went back just to grab the rest of my stuff and then depart, I guess, for good.
Yeah, it
was fun while it lasted.
I just have a lot of memories of this whole area, and it just looks like total destruction. They're showing over 1,000 buildings. We'll get into it. We're going to discuss the following stories on today's show. Did the Democrats and their policies cause the LA devastation? Are Gavin, Newsom, and Karen Bass so culpable, so responsible that they should resign? Do you agree or disagree that insurance companies were wrong for canceling their California plans? That might not be the answer you're expecting out there. You got to understand the backstory here. Also, the Trump administration, should he use the feds to clean up Cali? Also, shifting gears, the UK fathers of immigrant rape victims, should they just let it go? Agree or disagree that the U.S. risk isn't multiculturalism, but multi-billionaire Musk? Is that the real problem? Multi-billionaire Musk is the real problem. Let's talk about the person who's been responsible for so much of this phony migration. Obama. Has he flipped and he's going to join the white nationalist regime? What? That's such a funny headline. Can't wait to get into that story. And finally, an update. We're going to ask if the FBI is protecting the DC pipe bomber for political reasons. However you're watching us, hit like, hit subscribe, leave your comments so that we can toss them into the program when appropriate. Kenneth is asking if Mr. Burns is somehow involved. That's a good joke because it's burning, so there's a play on words. But also, Mr. Burns tried to famously blot out the sun as one of his maniacal plans to take away the sun. But all of these topics and more will be discussed on today's episode of the Agree to Disagree show. All right, everyone. Thanks for joining us. Yes, the O'Brien planet with the Blake moon. No, it's the Orion spiral arm of the Milky Way galaxy, but thank you, Kenneth. Quick programming note. Make sure you go to Blake's archive and check out Toxically Masculine Tuesday. Gotta do the flex, Blake. Do the flex. There you go.
I was all right.
I know. Check out his archives so you can see that show. That's with Dr. Brooks Agnew and Trail Boss Steve Doran and the former contractor Mike Barra. How would you say former contractor? You'd say best-selling author, as seen on Ancient Aliens. Toxically Masculine podcaster Mike Barra. But check out that show that Blake did on Tuesday. Blake, what was their take 2 days ago? This was happening 2 days ago, right?
No, I don't. We did not discuss this at all. This was all right before that all happened. We didn't talk about it on Tuesday. It was all kind of just really, picking up right when that happened. It was really at night, Tuesday night. So that was kind of a break. It would have been breaking news, but then we wouldn't have really had much to say.
Yeah, fair enough.
Laser weapons.
Yeah, space lasers.
Weapons.
Space lasers. The dues.
Right. Yep.
EEW. Well, check out that show, and then I'm going to be doing a show, Strictly Football, at 5:00. So when this show wraps, I'm going to kind of spin it right over, and Mike Barra will join. We're going to do Strictly Football, covering the NFL playoffs. We're going to kind of read the obituary for the Seattle Seahawks and Cleveland Browns, and maybe a quick touch upon who we might want to draft now that we know exactly who's going to be in which draft position. And Blake always has an open invitation to jump on, since his Minnesota football Vikings have an equal opportunity to win a Super Bowl this year. I can't believe it. Looking good. What is Minnesota's PJ Fleck doing here? Oh my goodness. Tell us, Blake.
Well, I realized during the intro, somebody that's on there was made a cameo last Friday night. I don't know if you caught the Duke's Mayo Bowl. That was Friday. I actually thought it was the most fun out of all the bowl games that I did watch.
Oh wow!
Not necessarily for the game itself, which the Gophers did win, but it was for the all the surprise stuff. They were just having a lot of fun with the broadcast, trying different things in Mayo and almost throwing up. But there was they had a couple special promos. Now, one, the whoever wins the Mayo Bowl has to take a Mayo bath, like the Gatorade bath. So that was one thing. And then the other one, they had a mascot in the Duke's mayonnaise costume, and we had to guess who was it.
Unveil the surprise of who's underneath here. Tubby, you want to reveal yourself?
Yeah, so that was kind of one of the little running jokes, the little fun things that they threw into the broadcast was like, oh, well, we're going to have a revealing at the end. And so it ended up being Flavor Flav, which was hilarious. And then PJ Fleck got the mayonnaise bath. It was pretty gross. But anyway, so just thought I'd throw that in there. A little fun. Speaking of football, all right, well, there you go.
So that'll be coming up a little bit later on Strictly Football, powered by the Unhappy Hour Sports Show. Okay, let's work our way backward, Blake, and then we'll get to our main story, give people time to get into the room and stuff. The Yikings. Let's go through the bottom of our stack stories, and we'll kind of just touch and go on these. And then, there's a lot of angles to unpack on these wildfires. So we'll work my way up on that one. Let's start with this, Blake. Do you agree or disagree that the FBI is protecting the DC pipe bomber for political reasons?
Yes, I am going to agree, but I am just basically, agreeing with Trump, really, because that's what he said. So let's pull this up. Yeah, it's a quick story. Trump taking aim at the FBI over the January 6th pipe bomb mystery. Is there a cover-up? It's been exposed. So, yes, Donald Trump alleged the FBI has identified the individual who planted the pipe bombs near the DNC and RNC. That was January 5th. But they're concealing the information to protect the Biden administration.
Ooh.
The FBI has conducted a thorough investigation, 1,000 interviews, 39,000 video files, but the suspect's identity remains unknown, at least to the general public, with a $500,000 reward still unclaimed. So a recent House Administration Committee report suggests the FBI dropped the case just May, a few months after, fueling speculation that the suspect's identity was suppressed for political reasons. And I think Matt Gaetz was even talking about this. Like, they knew something, they just couldn't go public with it yet. So even though the FBI maintains it has no leads on the suspect's identity, with officials emphasizing they are following the evidence, but critics are questioning the lack of progress and delayed release of the suspect footage. And that's now reignited debates over government transparency and accountability, increasing the pressure on Trump to put pressure on the FBI and the Biden administration to provide answers. But as soon as Kash Patel takes over there in a couple of weeks, maybe we'll get some answers to that and find out what they don't want us to know.
What would you suspect, Blake, is going on with the pipe bomber? This if they couldn't open the gates and get people in there to set them up and turn it into an insurrection,
right?
Never was. Were they going to light off a pipe bomb to be like, look, they're violent domestic extremists, like all the people that Obama cozied up to in Chicago, like Bill Ayers? Like, were they going to try to just blow something up to blame MAGA if they're set up with Ray Epps and everybody opening barricades and opening magnetically locked doors and letting people take their politely guided tours through the area? They, like, if that didn't work like Pelosi wanted it to, they were just going to set something on fire and blow up. It was by Kamala Harris too, right? She was right over there. Were they going to sacrifice Harris? I mean, like what if you're just guessing, because we've had 4 years of this, what is the story with the pipe bomb?
No, that's exactly the theory that I was thinking of, is if nothing happened in the Capitol and it was just a dud and it was just a big peaceful kumbaya protest hoping that they changed the results of the election or elected different people from the swing states, turn things around. If they didn't get what they wanted, which was to have an overreaction from the large crowd, so they could blame Trump for an insurrection, that they potentially could have ignited those pipe bombs. I don't know if they were real or not. I'm assuming they must be real, but fortunately they did not go off. And I don't know, it's a backup plan potentially, but we really will never know until they start investigating, because they surely know who did it, I would think. If they can identify all of those people and track them all over the country, people that just peacefully walked into a building and they didn't know they were in a restricted area, I'm sure they could find out who the pipe bomber was. They could geolocate or what have you. There's cameras all over that place. So I think it's BS.
Yeah, it feels that way to me for sure. All right. Well, we'll keep our eyes peeled on that. Yeah, we might just be 1 week away, week and a half away from having some real leadership back in the White House and get to the bottom of all of these scams and hoaxes, all these things that the deep state were trying to do to make all of you patriots out there, look crazy and dangerous while they were looting the country and damn near, if not setting it on fire like they did in 2020 across the country for George Floyd. By the way, I don't think we had it in the stack, but the George Floyd trial of Derek Chauvin is now being brought into doubt, as a whole bunch of people who served in that department said, no. Excuse me, lady running the department and who testified in the trial. You lied, because putting the knee at that part of the upper back was exactly how the Minnesota Police Department trained the police officers to conduct themselves out in the field. And she perjured herself during the trial. So that hasn't made the stack today or on Tuesday, but that's an interesting thing to keep in mind. But yeah, the Democrats are more than willing to set the country on fire if they think it'll get rid of Orange Man. They'd cut off their own nose if it got rid of Orange Man. They'd punch themselves in the face if it got rid of Orange Man. Like, these people are desperate, they're pathetic, and they're destructive. So another story to kind of keep on your radar. Maybe there'll be another development we'll bring up into the stack coming up soon. Okay, let's talk about this one, Blake. Obama. People are talking about this. People are saying, what were they talking about? Of course, Jimmy Carter, former President Jimmy Carter, former peanut farmer, he passed away, and his legacy is being, re-examined in light of course, President Trump saying, we built the Panama Canal, the greatest canal, some people say in the world, maybe the galaxy, check with Space Force, but Jimmy Carter gave it away. We're going to take it back. It's going to be beautiful. So we're re-examining the Carter legacy, of course, in the aspect of Panama Canal. And every presidential passing brings in this interesting thing. We saw it last time where George H.W. Bush was interred. He was laid to rest. And that was where an interesting piece of paper was seemingly given to all the former presidents and the first ladies. And Blake, did we ever figure out what was in that message that these people received? I don't want to go too far off track because we got other story to get to, but that was a big to-do. People have often wondered what was in there, like the briefcase shining gold in Pulp Fiction. What was it? What did you see? What's in there?
Yeah, that mystery has never been, investigated, I guess, even though there's been a lot of speculation. Yeah, that was the George H.W. Bush funeral, and a lot of these deep state actors got a mysterious letter. They opened it and they were flustered by it. And it's, I guess people were speculating that it was Trump trolling them with something like, I've got everything or whatever. It was one of those like X-22 report, QAnon, like we have it all. Like they're just trolling the deep state. But then nothing had happened. And then they chased him out of Washington. And we still don't know. But yeah, another funeral, another president.
Yeah, and another mystery, it seems. By the way, hello to Renee in Ohio. Thank you for the shout out on Facebook. Watching in TNAM's The Agree to Disagree show. Follow us in that private group. And if it says, how did you find us here and why do you wish to join? Say, Brian invited me. That's the magic password. Say Brian invited me. So thanks for watching, and thanks for letting us know that Facebook will at least allow us to connect with one human being on our Facebook network. Now that Zuckerberg is pro free speech, if you want to buy that, I can sell you a bridge or a swampland in Florida while we're at it. But thanks for letting us know that we are broadcasting to you through our Facebook feed. Renee from Ohio. Renee, she's what's the opposite of woke? She's the opposite. She's on our page. She gets it. You go down these rabbit holes and it's like, so many stories. But yeah, Renee does the work too. I see what the stuff she posts. So, okay, let's talk about Obama. I don't know if you had a video or if you had a post. I have a smoking gun here, but I'll let you kind of get it going with Glenn Greenwald, and then I'll kind of go my route because we did some word analysis to try to figure out what they were actually saying. But let's start with Glenn.
Yeah, competent lip readers should be able to figure out what actually went down very easily. So I'll just wait for that. But Glenn Greenwald trolling the leftist media, saying former President Barack Obama casually chats with Adolf Hitler as the latter is set to assume power in 11 days, end American democracy, and impose a white nationalist dictatorship. So, he was also pointing that out the other day, like, why aren't the leftists freaking out like this? The worst fascist dictator, racist, orange Hitler is going to be taking over. Why aren't they resisting? Or did they not believe their own BS? So here we go. I don't know if there's much to see except Kamala looks upset that Trump is talking to Obama. And I guess Michelle had a scheduling conflicts. People were wondering, where was Michelle Obama? Apparently in Hawaii, or is there a domestic issue? We don't know. But
remember, they have been seen very separated from each other for a while now, Blake.
Yeah, I think it's same with kind of Bill and Hillary, right? Don't they kind of? I mean, who can blame them? They have to kind of stay together politically, but they might not get along well. I mean, probably either does Kamala and her husband either in the front.
That's exactly what I was getting ready to say. It can't be any frostier than whatever's going on in that household. Good grief. Definitely. Could you imagine the drunken mess going on inside of that household? Ugh.
Oh, yeah. No, he's not a good guy either. No. They're not.
No.
They're really not great people. But here we go. Yeah, she looks really angry. Oh, like how dare Trump? Because she lost to Trump, so she's obviously not situation.
She does not. She would suck at poker. She would be the worst international negotiator. You can read everything on her face. Remember when she had to read in Trump? She certified the Trump presidency, the Trump win. And she went to shake hands with the guy that was holding himself up with a cane. And she shot him a look like, you're not going to shake my hand. Okay. Like she's super expressive and almost comedic over the top. It's not hard to read what's going. The thought bubble above Kamala's head, it's written in bold, italicized, underlined letters, blinking in neon. Like it's very obvious whatever she's thinking. And yeah, she did not like turning around. But by the way, why is she up front? Like she's driving the bus here. Could you imagine her as the bus driver? Of this caravan?
Jeez, that'd be a nightmare.
I don't think you can be a drunk and a bus driver. That's probably not a good, allegedly.
If they pulled her down for a drug test, no, she probably wouldn't do too well. I
guess there's another game here, though. You look at this and you go, all right, well, who's next? And it's the same thing with all my family. Whenever we're gathered whenever we have to lay one of our departed brothers and sisters down, it's like, all right, well, who's next? And that's like the morbid conversation I have with all my cousins every time. All right, who's next? So I'm looking at that lineup there, and I mean, who looks the sickest, the weakest? I don't know. Either Obama or Bill or Hillary. Probably. Who knows? It's a morbid game.
I mean, if we were playing Death Pool or something, I mean, I think Bill would obviously be. Bill and Hillary aren't looking too well, but anyway, we'll see.
But it's only playing the game because we always see the presidents when there's a president. So it's like, well, when would the next time be? And it's like, well, who's next up? I mean, who would have thought Jimmy Carter would go into his triple digits? I don't know. I guess peanuts do a body good, I suppose. Yeah, so it's kind of frosty there. It looks kind of interesting. I was actually able to pull up what they were talking about.
All right, well, I'm just going to play this quick 11-second clip. Here's another one. Another account saying, Obama is smiling next to literally Hitler. Does that make Obama a Nazi now? I don't know. I'm not the expert, but here we go. They're actually sharing a moment. Well, cut off the music, even though it's just...
Thank you. Yeah, we should cut off the music.
I mean, it's not like it's...
Oh, I know.
Right. It's not a master recording. It's live singing, I would assume, inside the church. But yeah, they're having a funny moment. Trump is cracking a joke or whatever. But you tell me, Brian, what have the lip reading experts come up with?
Well, oops, I'm not going to share that. I'm going to share this one. So if we take a look here, let me pull this up. The lip reading experts came up with this. Let me see if I can do it justice. You watch that Cavs game last night?
Oh,
yeah. They rolled over OKC. They're in a class. They're the class of the entire league. People tell me about the Cavs all the time. All the time. Beautiful bigs. You see, the thing is, Mobley, he's come into his own, and they have a balanced attack. You don't need Donovan to go off every night. Telling you, Cavs in 4. So that's kind of what they were talking about when the lip readers got involved. Cavs in 4. If you're not paying attention, I do a sports show called the Unhappy Hour Sports Show, and the Cleveland Cavaliers are an NBA best 32-4 on pace to become the best regular season team in NBA history, by the way. So yeah, that was pretty hilarious. That's from our good buddy McNeil, reflog_18. You got to follow him. I mean, he mixes sports and politics together like some of the best you've ever seen. Reflog_18, follow him. But yeah, I watched that Oklahoma City game, and it might be a matchup, a preview of the NBA Finals this year, and the Cavs took care of business. So, yeah.
Well, wait. But I do have, they're having an amazing season. But I'm going to point out one thing about that game. What's the deal with Chet Holmgren? Is he? How long is he out for? Oklahoma City is also extremely good. So they can easily, if the NBA championship was today, it would be the Cavaliers and Oklahoma City Thunder. But what happens when Chet comes back, and how long is he out for?
Well, Trump was actually talking to Obama about that as well. He's like,
"Oh, okay.
Did you see these fucking Oklahoma City guards going ISO on Mobley like it's an advantage?" Oh, Donald. So yeah.
All right.
It is nice to see the Cavaliers as the cream of the crop in the NBA, though. That is for damn sure.
Congratulations.
Thanks for the laughs, McNeil. I love it. Yeah, check out his shows as well. He's one of the best out there. Okay. Yeah, I don't know.
So Chet Holmgren is out for 8 to 10 weeks. Hip fracture. Wow. Okay. Well,
we can do the same thing. Yeah. Sorry.
So that'll be quite a series, but he is a stud as well. So they're missing one of their number 2 guy, right?
If we're talking about hip fractures, though, I mean, we're looking at that list of former presidents going, well, who's the most likely to have a hip fracture while we're at it? I don't know. Anyway, well, if we're talking about Obama flipping to join the white nationalist regime, oh, these people and their narratives are so goofy. Let's talk about this. Do you agree or disagree that the U.S. risk isn't multiculturalism, but it's multibillionaireism with Musk? Robin is saying, I heard that Kamala and hubby are on the rocks. Oh, yeah. Yeah, Kamala likes things on the rocks, by the way. Glug, 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 allegedly. He apparently was caught carrying on with a member of the election team, too. And then there was like the nanny or the maid. I mean, everybody, these guys. He could have been our first husband, Blake. Oh, the first man.
Oh, what a clown show. And then with Tim Walz, too. No, what a nightmare. And his goofy wife. No, bad news.
Man, did we dodge something there? Yes, we did.
It's great to have MJ Sedona. Welcome back. She's, well, in a road to recovery here. Now she's waiting for acupuncture, so that's good. You're moving along. One of our favorite people. Yes.
Jocelyn is awesome. We appreciate you, Jocelyn. Thank you so much for joining us. And everybody else, please leave your comments in here because we like to incorporate you into our show. Yes, we could talk at each other, but it's fun to engage with you as well, for sure. So thank you, Jocelyn. It's great to have you back. All right, so back to this Musk one, Blake.
This is kind of a two-part because we got two on the UK, right? I don't know if you want to do them both right now or not, because there's like a lot of videos and things to get into. It's up to you.
Yeah, go ahead.
Wherever.
By the way, I'm getting a mega glitch on the Rumble feed on my side, but that's, I suppose, neither here nor there. But yeah, let's parse it out. What's going on with these? Do you want to start with the victims in the UK and then go into Musk, or do you want to start with Musk and go to UK?
We can start with the Musk one and lead into that one. All right, fair enough.
All right, take it away.
Let's pull up a story. Is this? There was an interesting debate. I guess Piers Morgan's been doing some good work, putting up some good like debate shows and getting some interesting people on there to discuss. And yeah, there was quite a backlash on this guy because there's a huge bombshell story in the UK with these Islamic, or I guess like Pakistani rape gangs that go around and they get away with abusing young girls out there, and they've been covering this up for a long time. And we'll dig into this, but this guy was on the Piers Morgan show defending it, and then here, what's her name? I know she's with
Natalie Winters.
Natalie Winters, yeah. There she is. So let's talk. So saying sick British philosopher and writer lashing out at Elon Musk and refuses to condemn the Muslims for the massive gang rape epidemic of little girls in the country. So it was Natalie Winter has been doing some good work there. And yeah, they got into it. Let's roll this clip.
And the real risk you have in the US isn't multiculturalism. It's a multi-billionaire running the biggest social media planet, one of the biggest in the world, which has turned into an echo chamber of your ridiculous ideology. And the fact that you're sat
in echo chamber, I couldn't even let him get any of this stuff out. In echo chamber, it's been this leftist, globalist, Democrat, backward, divisive, destructive bullshit echo chamber. And now finally there's a spot where people have permission to speak freely. So you don't have a warped version of what you think reality is. Who is this guy? That's not Piers Morgan. I don't know who this clown is.
He has like some controversial people that he brings on there all the time. Which make the show interesting, but yeah, sometimes you're like screaming at the TV.
I know. I couldn't even let him continue, but I'll be quiet now. We'll hear the response.
Right. So let's roll it. It's 15 seconds. Let's look at this smug little shit again. He's defending this. So, they're talking about, it's not like we're against multiculturalism, which is great because that's here in America. We're known for that. It's a melting pot of different cultures, and they can celebrate that in Britain too. But if you've got a group of, let's just say Muslim or Islamic, not to demonize the religion as a whole, but they just happen to be gangs of these Muslim that go around and rape these white girls in Great Britain. And nobody talks about it. You're not allowed to. And they call it, it's like Islamophobia, and they don't want to demonize people. And then we've had political prisoners like Tommy Robinson that have been talking about this, and they get locked up. And they've been trying to cover this up. So Elon Musk has been blowing the whistle on this. And he's magnifying this, putting a spotlight on this horrible story and trying to, pressure, the truth to come out. But then you got, some of these people that come out and they really defend it. And this was one of those exchanges. So it's just a minute 20, but let's roll it from the beginning.
And the real risk you have in the US isn't multiculturalism. It's a multi-billionaire running the biggest social media planet, one of the biggest in the world, which has turned into an echo chamber of your ridiculous ideology.
Ridiculous.
And the fact that you're telling us all and telling the British public, who we're proudly multicultural, as someone that was brought up in multicultural working class Birmingham, I can tell you for sure that there's not you won't find a Muslim there who's read the Quran and went, oh, you know what, I didn't rule out sexual violence, so I might just crack on with that. I don't know what planet you're living on or what you're smoking, but I'd suggest that you do a course in religious studies before you start chatting.
Wow, just super rude, condescending jack off.
Well, thank you for the ad hominem attacks. I'm sure that means you have a really strong argument, but I think the young working class girls who probably grew up in the same areas that you did would beg to differ. I don't understand what you're saying. I've read the Quran. I've seen what's in there. Even if you don't think that my interpretation of the Quran is correct, I would point you to, I don't know, what countries have the most issues when it comes to child brides and raping of young girls and children. It's obviously a systemic cultural problem with Islam. It's not a problem that is contained or unique to the West. And I don't know, last time I checked, this whole grooming gang phenomenon is what contained primarily to Muslim men, and it really only started when you started seeing mass migration.
Mass migration. So yeah, this is becoming a big issue. So Brian, I think, if you want to make a comment here, otherwise we can pretty much switch right next to the other story, because I've got several components of that one. Just getting into the details.
Look, if you choose to have a religious preference, if you want to go that route, that's one thing. But when you turn it into a political ideology, you can weaponize a lot of components in holy books, and the stuff that's been going on in Great Britain. And what is the difference between the Great Britain, the UK, and Britain, Great Britain, UK, England? There's a couple different ways to define it. And I'm not entirely certain I get it, but look, people are afraid to discuss how they are being targeted by these groups. So let's talk about it. Lift the rock up and let's see what's crawling underneath. Why are young women being targeted, and who is targeting them, and what is the reason? Proof's in the pudding. Proof's in your British pudding, Blake, as they would say. Isn't it? Proof's in the pudding.
It's just dessert, I think.
Yeah,
it's not actually like pudding like we think of it as, there's different words. And I think there's like a Great Britain and there's like a smaller island like Little Britain, but then the United Kingdom is like with, Scotland and Northern Ireland, I don't know, and Wales. That's like the kingdom altogether.
I'm glad that this is being
right.
I'm glad this is being brought up. I am not a fan of abuse. I really if you want to ask a guiding light to what the new American media is, I don't like seeing good people, innocent people getting abused. I can't stand it. And if it takes more attention to get that out there, to stop demons, Blake, you and I are in a text message thread. I'm not sure how often you read everything. You don't comment very often, but you'll be the third viewer.
I'm a lurker by nature, Brian. I'm an observer, right? Yes, I stay out of it.
But part of my conversation is just, evil needs to be deleted. Evil needs to be erased. And that's something that some people can't get on with. They can't support the death penalty. And I said, that's why pencils have erasers. If you want me to hold the pencil and move it back and forth, anybody harming a kid, I'm done. I'm done with you. And it's different from a Romeo Juliet, two high school kids being together. Someone was not arguing, but we were debating back and forth what should happen to abusers. And he said, what about Romeo and Juliet? He likes what Ron DeSantis is doing. This is a conversation we had on X at American_media_. By the way, however you're watching Agree to Disagree today on the New American Media, please hit like and subscribe. But yeah, I guess Romeo and Juliet's like, it covers 14-year-olds to 18-year-olds. Like, if you're of that, I'm in the same high school with you kind of thing. You keep that out of the child abuse thing. According to DeSantis in Florida and some other places, they call it Romeo and Juliet. But yeah, in general, anybody that's going to harm a kid, a woman, like I have no problem making that person ride the lightning, Blake. Put the bag over the head, firing squad, gallows. I don't care how. You do not add anything to society if you're going to do that type of stuff. And the fact that this has been going on in Great Britain, or it's been going on in England for a long time, and they've been going after the fathers, the parents of the people who are trying to save their family members instead of going after the demons in these no-go zones. Well, son of a bitch, it's time that we prioritize this up to the top of the feed, and we do discuss it. And this Starmer, man, Starmer be stuttering, Blake. He looks very uncomfortable as they're pushing to get more of this information released.
Right. So it's not going to demonize Islam. I'm sure a lot of them are very just peaceful people that mind their own business. Maybe they should be more speaking out about this. Multiculturalism is great, but sometimes cultures aren't always compatible. And there's no normalizing rape gangs and going after young kids. We have to protect them. So I'm agree with you there. Those people need to be deported, and they need to talk about this. It's not because it's anti-Islam. It's for, these are criminals getting away with stuff because people are afraid, or they're covering it up. There's a lot of different angles of this, but it's been going on, I think, for like 30 years.
Oh my God.
Something like that. And it's just getting worse, but let's get into that part of the story. UK father whose daughter was gang raped. And they try to go to the police, do things the right way. The police told me to let it go, and then you know what, Blake, going to jail. Right.
This is how you get Dexter. This is how you get Luigi. This is how you get Batman. You're not gonna do it. Well, somebody's gonna do it. I'll tell you, it got this dicey in my neighborhood in Los Angeles. There were a couple of people that were causing problems for everyone in the community. And I talked to one of the OGs, older black gentleman. He served in Vietnam. He's got a kid who's got a kid, 3 generations in this hood, in this area. And, it was common knowledge that the locals, you could call them gang members, gangs used to be members that like supported your community and protected your community. They devolved into, hey, I don't care if I can make $100 selling you fentanyl that'll kill you. I don't care. I just want my $100 because I'm a baller. Like, that's the stupid kind of gang members. The good gang members protect your community. You're looking out for wolves messing with your sheep. But the conversation was that there was an open hit put on this repeat junkie that was causing all these. There will be street justice if we can't get criminal justice. And this reoccurring problem kept getting arrested and it keep getting dumped back onto our streets. That's what Los Angeles has been doing. They let the violent, crazy people run amok. And it's like 3 of them and 3 of their friends. You got 5, 10 people total, ruining the entire neighborhood for everybody. And that's what it turns into. If there's no letting it go, there needs to be criminal justice or there's going to be street justice. And we just have to decide which type of country we want to be. So, I mean, this is dead serious. And people trying to minimize this story, I don't even know what planet they're living on, Blake. This is urgent.
It is urgent, and people need to be talking about it. And so that's good. Again, it's not just some Islamophobic thing, but it's this part of this subculture that does need to be exposed, deported, shamed, and perhaps executed, because this is horrific stuff. And here it is. Yeah, British fathers relate horrific accounts as this pedophile Muslim gang scandal has exploded into the mainstream this week. Horrible accounts are being shared by fathers of some of the victims, with one relating how the police did nothing when he told them his daughter had been raped and advised him, hey, just let it go, or that he would get arrested for being racist. So it's this kind of absurdity.
Are rapists a race of people? That doesn't even make any sense.
Well, all right. But yes, let's we can listen to a clip from him. It's 5 minutes long, so I'm probably not going to play too much of it, but we have the quotes.
Yeah, just read the quotes off then.
Yeah, I mean, I've already basically hit it. He phoned the police and they told him to let it go. Otherwise, he could get arrested for being racist. So this goes higher and deeper than any of us can imagine. There's a lot of people that are, of course, outraged, as they should be. But here, let's take a look, because Elon has really been attacking this. So they have the far left Labor Party, which would be like our Democrats, led by grooming gang enabler Keir Starmer, has just voted against opening up an inquiry into the child rape gangs in the UK. And the vote was 364 to 111. Kind of similar with the Lake and Riley initiative, and all those Democrats voted against it. They're okay with not deporting criminals. It's the same thing. It's the Labor Party and the crazed leftists here in the United States. But this is a quick 14-second clip. Let's watch it for ourselves. House of Commons here.
The ayes to the right were 111, the noes to the left 364. So the noes have it, the noes have it. Unlock.
Wow. So that is horrifying. And then that's what Elon is saying. Why would, he calls him Keir Stormtrooper, order his own party to block such an inquiry? Because he is hiding terrible things. That's why. And that's all I could possibly think of when it comes to that. Now, there is a longer clip, which we could watch. This is great because this was on, looks like, like a state media apparatus there in it's Great Britain News. I don't exactly know how their system works, but I know BBC is pretty controlled. So Elon's actually read the court transcripts. That's a big part of why he's so disgusted by this and has chosen to launch a crusade about it. It says, what has been done to thousands of defenseless little girls in Britain was vile beyond belief. And when the fathers of the little girls tried to save them, the authorities arrested their fathers. So let's watch another contentious news broadcast.
To deal with it and to delegate that responsibility to Yvette Cooper, who's Home Secretary, to deal with it. And they are actioning that, and they are actioning the...
Here's your labor stooge right here. I guess your equivalent of a DNC strategist or Democrat strategist.
Recommendation.
Well, they're not giving us a national inquiry, are they?
They don't need to, because inquiries have already happened. And as they've said...
So they've already investigated themselves. They've already done inquiries, so they don't need a public one.
Inquiries have happened, the results and the recommendations...
Do you know why they're not giving a national inquiry? Because they're more concerned, I'll say this because nobody else is going to say it, they're more concerned about the Labour Party's support among Muslim communities than they are about the girls who are abused, trafficked and abused. That's why they won't commit to a national inquiry.
That's quite a claim for which you have no evidence at all.
No, well, it's pretty obvious. Jess Phillips, among others, almost lost their seat because of Muslim voters rebelling against the Labour Party.
Jess Phillips has given her, a significant chunk of her career and her life.
Very similar to what it is here. Like, the Democrats wouldn't dare, criticize. They'll bring in millions and millions of illegal aliens or what have you. They'll never say anything. They can commit terrible acts. They won't deport them, don't care, as long as they can get votes. As long as they can turn them into voters for them, they don't care what crimes they commit.
To action against violence against women of all kinds. And it is worth mentioning that the vast, vast majority of sexual violence and violence against women is perpetrated by white men, not by men of any...
You see, that is exactly the mentality as to why Labour are not committing to the national inquiry.
Yeah, so that's good. They're holding his feet to the fire and calling out his bullshit, even on, I don't know if it's state media or whatever. It's Great Britain News.
God, these talking heads. Oh, these people are so complicit. The ones that go out there and just take these bullshit talking points. Oh,
all strategists are just scum of the earth.
Organised gang-based sexual exploitation is overwhelmingly more likely among Pakistani Muslim gangs. That's an empirical fact. It's in all of the reports. Labour, politicians, activists and advisors like yourself, have to accept, and we can all see it through gritted teeth, that actually this is a problem in predominantly Pakistani Muslim communities. If Labour was serious about the issue, you would come out and say, right, we need to get everything out into the open. We need a national inquiry. I want a name and shame. I want to know what's going on in Bradford, Rotherham, Rochdale, Peterborough.
I am convinced that Labour is serious about dealing with this, than that Yvette Cooper and the Home Secretary and the Home Office is
right, let me ask you this.
I'm convinced, so it's okay. Let's out of sight, out of mind. We don't care. They're working on it. Sure they are.
By the way, Frankie's saying that these baddies need to walk the plank. Yeah, anybody abusing kids can walk the plank in a nice shark-infested water for all I care. You're not human. You abuse a kid, you can go to hell. And I'll if you need anyone to volunteer to participate, if you need someone to press the button or pull the trigger after you're found guilty of a court of, in a court of law by a jury of your peers. I got no time for someone that's just going to go around ruining families. Zero time for them. So
I agree. I don't care what color they are, what culture they're from, what religion they support. You are messing around with kids. Yep.
Right.
Yep. They're going to unalive you somehow.
Because I know they'll be shouting this at the screens. You just referenced then that statistic, which is accurate. 85% of paedophiles, child abusers, disgusting people are white. No one disputes that. But that's not what we're talking about. And what I wonder is, have you read things like the transcripts, the sentencing transcripts of these gangs?
I haven't.
He hasn't. So the horrific transcripts of all of the people, all the victims, all these poor little girls that were victimized by several men. It's out of sight, out of mind for him, and he's okay. And he's just going to defend the Labor Party blindly. So he wasn't prepared for this, and it's good. These people need to be shamed and called out. So
whose payroll is this guy on? What payroll?
Labor Party. These are, I would assume this is the equivalent. There are scum on, just like we have here. There's like the Republican or Democrat strategists.
So he's the Democrat.
They defend their party no matter what. And that's exactly what this guy is. He's like a Labor Party strategist.
And Labor is like the backward Democrat America.
They're the Democrats of Britain. Yeah.
Okay. All right.
Statistic is relevant because otherwise it's possible that people will go away with the wrong impression.
No, hold on. This is why I need to understand whether or not you've read the transcripts. Why haven't you availed yourself of that information? Because this is very publicly available. It's being circulated more than wildfire at the moment.
It's not my job to deal with that issue.
Well, it's not his job.
Can I make a suggestion?
That's literally the conversation that he's having. That is what he's discussing right now. Am I in a cuckoo clock? Yes, that's literally the issue. And he's saying it's not my issue.
Right.
Did I misunderstand that? Or is this guy mental?
Well, that's why it's watching all of these people like squirm and do mental gymnastics to act like there's not a problem with these Pakistani Muslim gangs that are raping people. It's not a thing against, Islamophobia or anything like that. They're taking it too far. But they are enabling all of these gangs by not doing anything.
Unreal.
Suggestion to you, and I'm going to make this to anyone else that wants to, pipe up about this 85% statistic, which is accurate. I'm not disputing that statistic. There is a fundamental difference, and you're all disgusting, by the way, whichever creed or nationality or skin colour or belief set you've got. If you abuse and touch children sexually, you disgust me. You make my skin crawl. Notwithstanding any of that, there is a complete difference. It is a completely different set of crime when grown men are basically scouring the streets to look for girls, predominantly based on their skin colour, based on a lack of respect for that skin colour, and torturing them. If you have read these transcripts, and I implore all of you, if you haven't looked at them, you must read these transcripts, because when you read these transcripts and you see what these men, these disgusting creatures did to these little girls, you weren't ever in these conversations, again, I don't think, 10 round when we're discussing this and say, yeah, but most paedophiles, 85% are white, because you will know that this is a completely different set of, it's a kettle of fish that is so different. These men, these creatures, disgusting, they were torturing these girls. They were doing the most horrific things to them, sometimes not just to the point of death, but over that line, over that point of death. So please, Mike, everyone, read these transcripts, and then I'll ask you about them again when you have, and I bet my bottom dollar you will also see what we're talking about. This is a very different thing, and I would say it absolutely does need a national inquiry. We need to understand the scope and scale of what this is, where this is, who is still doing it, because it will still be happening, believe you me, and get it sorted out. Stop saying mistakes will happen. They've already happened. What you need to do now is understand it, be honest about it, and stop it happening now and in the future.
About it, stop it, British. Yeah. Sorry, that's such an odd dialect for me.
But she did a fantastic job.
Agreed, and kudos to Elon for raising this issue. Anybody that's going to harm kids can go right to hell. Fast pass. You get a fast pass ticket. You get to sit in the diamond lane for that. All right, let's move off of this
execution, and we'll just be done with you. There you go.
Mm-hmm.
How would you like to go? Here's a meal, and then you're done.
Sure. Yeah.
Maybe.
And the meal is molten lava. All right. So let's talk about molten lava, and let's talk about the Diamond Lane. People just abandoning their cars and running, and they don't leave their keys in the car, so they can't. It's a mess, Blake. It's a complete mess. Let's talk about Lahaina, Los Angeles. It really, Jocelyn, she said California has been Maui'd. She was saying that she canceled her trip to California due to fires. She was going to go to Nam, but due to fires where she was going to stay, it burned to the ground, except a blue car and a blue trash can and landscaping. That's interesting. So
space lasers. Okay.
Sorry to hear that. Blake and I have been to Nam before.
Yep.
At good times over there. But let's talk about the fires, Blake. Where do you want to take it first? I mean, any angle is fine. How about this one? Democrats and their policies caused the LA devastation. Agree or disagree? The Democrats and their policies caused this.
That seems to be the consensus from what I'm seeing. So I'm going to go, and there's a lot of the local Californians that are saying that, including even a very prominent Democrat, if you want to call her that. I would just say a liberal, Anna Kasparian from the Young Turks.
She's turned around. She's done with the Democrat bullshit. She is over it. Welcome. What took you so long? Like, I'll welcome you with open arms, but also like, what the hell, man? What took you so long? Fine, come on.
Been all right, yeah. I mean, it's usually Cenk that's a little bit more heated and a little bit more nutty, but they can be intellectually honest in certain things, and she's done a pretty good job. I think, especially lately, she'll take reasonable opinions, and I applaud her for that. So she says California, and especially LA, is controlled by Democrats. They are responsible. No more passing the buck. Our mayor, who is in Ghana, I was in Africa, his fires exploded in our city, cut the fire budget by $17 million, endless amounts of money funneled to bullshit scammer homeless nonprofits. California is the highest tax, but they have homeless encampments and squalor everywhere. Even worse, they don't have enough firefighters to respond to the disaster they're experiencing. And then rather than conserve the record rain they got last year, they just drained it all into the ocean. We are a failing city run by a sick excuse for a local government. So you want to radicalize people against the modern Democratic Party? Send them to LA.
Yeah.
So well said. I don't know.
The Delta smelt. Anyone that would buy into something like that and say we need to harm our farmers, we need to harm our communities because what did Trump call it? Some stupid extinct fish. This stuff is beyond the pale, Blake, and it goes on. It's their way of life in California. They've had wildfires forever, and for the life of me, I've never understood. They're on the ocean. Filter some of that water, just filter all the creatures out, and just run tubes, run them up as firewalls, as fire breaks up into the mountains, make it out of whatever poly, whatever material, and they're just hoses, they're tubes, and they'll melt at a certain temperature, and it spills all the water, and it kind of barricades and blocks fire breaks and whatnot. This could have been designed by the smartest people on earth, people in Silicon Valley, the people in Los Angeles. There's very smart people there. But instead, they put all of their energy into stuff that doesn't work, like all their homeless money laundering, DEI stuff, which completely prioritizes insignificant matters. It doesn't matter what you look like. I don't care if you're trying, we need an equal representation of everybody working at our company. We have 100 people. We need an equal representation of all Big Ten teams. So I need graduates, some from Penn State, and I need 7 from Ohio State, and I need 7 from Minnesota Golden Gophers. No, you don't. You need qualified people. And I saw Adam Carolla talking about it. He applied to be a firefighter, and like, yeah, all right, well, you're a white male. No thanks. Come back 7 years from now, and let's see how it goes. I don't know if what part you have pulled up here.
This isn't the one. That's where he was in Congress talking about the joke that it was a white privilege thing, and that he waited 7 years to become a fireman.
Yeah.
And then he went there, and they finally, like in 7 years, he got like a response. I was like, oh yeah, come in, show up or whatever. And he was talking to like a black woman that was there, and he was like, "Wow, how long have you been waiting? I've been here for like 7 years waiting for this day." Because they used to have stuff like that for like the post office or something. Like those were really good, strong government jobs, but you would be on a waiting list that took years. But then he talked to this black woman that was there, and she said like she got hired like the previous Wednesday. And I was like, really? So they were purely looking for, black, Hispanic, and women. I don't know. There's a case to be made for that, but that shouldn't always apply. And now they are, I guess, dealing with their backward policies, and it's coming back to bite them now. So they have, gutted the budget, and they've also, let me pull up a couple of stories. They were showing how vital LA firefighting equipment was handed over to Ukraine. So a lot of the equipment that they could have used, this was from last June. They're bragging about how they're giving their equipment over to Ukraine. So that's another one. There's another article here from the Federalist. They already shipped their firefighting
By the
equipment.
way, in Ukraine, protective gear, motor pumps, chainsaws, rescue motor cutters, rechargeable spotlights, fire extinguishers, and hydraulic rescue tools. Yay. U.S. aid has funded this for 16 Ukrainian fire departments. Ignoring America. By the way, one more thing. This is breaking. Mass panic is setting across Western North Carolina as FEMA is now refusing to extend hotel vouchers for 3,500 families with nowhere to go. Protests erupted in Western North Carolina as FEMA is kicking people out of hotels in 14-degree weather, and many still waiting on FEMA to inspect their homes. So I'm just reading this report now underneath the other one, trying to get caught up on that. Who knows? But I mean, there is no prioritization of anything important from Joe Biden and other traitors in this Democrat Party. They're traitors. They're absolute traitors. You are either derelict in your duties and responsibilities, or you actively hate America and Americans, and I am not willing to consider the first option anymore. You hate America. You hate Americans. You're thieves. You're pirates. You're plundering all of our resources to money launder them for your own personal gain. Just like Trudeau, just like these other people, soon to be Obama and Kamala and Joe Biden. You are not going to be able to walk the streets with the people that you have flicked off, flipping us the bird intentionally right in our faces. The fact that California has been this poorly managed, this intentionally mismanaged. I mean, there's blood on the hands of everybody that didn't build the reservoirs, that didn't do the fire breaks, that didn't clean up. They made fun of Trump for saying that you rake the forest. Yes, you do. I've had woods in half the houses I've lived in my life, and you always do a deadfall inspection. You always clear up the clutter. You do a couple of burns each year, and you toss it all in your fire pit. You take the ash and you move it into your potatoes or your tomatoes or whatever, your compost pile. You don't let piles and piles and piles of dead materials, tinder, just sit there. That's one of the problems. But yeah, Trump was in California telling Newsom to his face, you got to do these things. You got to redirect the water. Trump was talking to Rogan saying, they got the water coming down from Canada. You're diverting it, millions and billions of gallons of water. You're just dumping into the Pacific instead of giving to farmers, putting into reservoirs in case of emergency. The hell is wrong with you people? It's like if they could pick the worst option possible, the Democrats, leave it to the Democrats to not only pick the worst option possible, but then create a new option that's even worse than that option possible. You couldn't intentionally get this stuff accidentally wrong. You have to intentionally hate where you are and hate the people around you, because this is such a dereliction of duty, Blake.
Yeah, absolutely. So this is the problem with their policies, and they're favoring environmentalism and DEI hires, and then they chased a lot of people out because here's one about the DEI bureau and promoting this lesbian to weed out the bigoted firefighters on the force. That was weird. There's another one with the LA officials complaining they're not enough firefighters after they fired hundreds because they refused to take the experimental vaccines. So yeah,
that too. I mean, it's a comedy of errors. If Democrats thought that they were going to run Gavin Newsom in 4 years to try to take JD Vance out, Good luck. Gavin Newsom needs to be recalled. Karen Bass need to be recalled. And that's actually the question, Blake. Should Karen Bass and Gavin Newsom be recalled? Should they resign from California, from their positions here? The fire hydrants have run dry. Now, I will say, I will give them a little bit of a benefit of the doubt there with the fire hydrants. When everything's burning and things are breaking and twisting and people are using, you need to design a system that can compartmentalize and encapsulate water pressure problems. So if there's two problems there, that it's not going to cause a cascading chain reaction of the next 1,000 people don't have access either. Find a way to redesign the water supply that can reroute in those circumstances. That's maybe a failure of engineering. Or is it just that they didn't fill the reservoir, so there's no water to pump into those? It might be a combination of both. But I mean, we need to be fair on one hand. Maybe it was a couple of other things that led to no fire, no water coming out of certain hoses. But on the other hand, what else are you doing? You got one job. You got one job out there to protect the people when it comes to fires and water and all of the infrastructure needed. And it's just like nobody's doing the job. And if they do stuff, they're doing things that are detrimental. Oh, all this free water coming from Canada, coming down from Oregon, from Washington. Great. Let's just dump it into the Pacific Ocean. We could be using that to farm and keep our people safe. Delta smelt. Delta smelt? The Delta smelt take priority over farmers and humans. No, they don't. No, they don't.
Yeah, well, they probably won't now that this has backfired badly, spectacularly. Yeah, and you get this overpaid bureaucrat. They're paying her $750,000 a year. Yeah, so.
Whoa.
What is she? The next, I forget what her position is. Let me just pull this one up. So here's Pacific Palisades neighborhood grapples with the destructive wildfires. Firefighters confronting the unexpected challenge of dry fire hydrants. And let's get back. I forget what her name was.
By the way, the president receives $400,000 a year for that job. President's $400,000 along with a $50,000 stipend to defray expenses relating from the duties. So $450,000 for the president of the country, for comparison.
Yeah, and so $750,000 for, she's the new head of the Department of Water and Power, Janice Quinones. So that was almost double the salary of her other predecessor, Marty Adams, who I think was on there for a long time. And then he stepped down or he just retired. And so they bring her on. And I don't know, I'm not saying she's not qualified or anything, but how do you justify paying a city official that much money? And then, of course, she failed when the city needed her. She's in charge of water and power and what have you. And how'd that work out? So that's a problem. Yes, Elon Musk. Whoops, not that one. Yeah, they could have saved a lot of tragedy in LA if not the obvious countermeasures had been enacted, then the major damage and loss of life could have been averted. And yes, you did point out, I don't have the Trump on Rogan, but yeah, he called that all out. It's interesting. It's prophetic looking now. And yeah, he called that out and said, and rightfully, Gavin Newsom should be under fire for all this, no pun intended.
Yeah, he should. Okay. What about the insurance company angle now?
Well, did we get to the mayor? Let's see. Or was that the last part of that caption there?
Yes. We got about 5-10 minutes.
Should they resign? Yes. And let's take a look at the mayor here of Los Angeles. Karen Bass, stunned, getting called out by a reporter. And then she runs away. I've never seen anyone, a public official, confronted like this. And then just to have her completely silent. It's bizarre. In fact, here's another one, Jimmy Dore calling it out too. How to defeat Karen Bass, run commercials playing this video without adding any commentary, and that's it.
Yep.
This is staggering. If you haven't seen it, you need to see this.
Do you owe citizens an apology for being absent while their homes were burning? Do you regret cutting the fire department budget by millions of dollars, Madam Mayor? Have you nothing to say today?
Can you back up, appreciate it.
Have you absolutely nothing to say to the citizens today? Elon Musk says that you're utterly incompetent. Are you considering your position? Madam Mayor, have you absolutely nothing to say to the citizens today who are dealing with this disaster?
So I take it she's just getting back from Africa. So she was in Ghana at a time where, it would have been better for her to be there, better in Los Angeles.
Apology for them.
And she was confronted at the airport.
Do you think you should have been visiting Ghana
She
while
just
this
wanted
was
to go
unfolding
hide
back
somewhere,
home?
but she had nothing to say. Just sat there.
You know, on one hand, she has every right to go on a vacation, but this is not a good look. This is not what a leader does. This is cowardly. It's incompetent, or it's malevolent. Like I said, I'm not willing to accept that these people are just out of their
Mayor,
depth.
let me ask you just again, have you anything to say to the citizens today
Right.
as you return?
No. Ma'am, hold on 1 second.
Madam Mayor, just a few words for the citizens today as you return to deal with the catastrophe.
Can you take this down?
Well, that's it.
Yeah, there you go. Yeah, I think they both need to resign. They need to be recalled. Resigned, whatever works. We have about 8 minutes left, Blake.
Okay, that's right. We got to hurry it up here. This is Trump. Oh yeah, here he is with Rogan talking about that fish, but we won't get into that.
Well, you could. I mean, that's a good. That in 20 seconds. Like, if that's.
But that's like probably 4 or 5 minutes. I know it's a longer speech.
But let me give you one that you may not know.
Okay.
Which I think you know everything actually. As a student of yours, but water, you know, in Los Angeles you can't get proper amounts of water,
right?
And it's unbelievably expensive. And you might have a house in Beverly Hills, and they're actually thinking about rationing water. Could you believe it?
I could believe it.
I was in the farm court country with some of the congressmen. We're driving up a highway, and I say, how come all this land is so barren? It's farmland, and it looked terrible. It was just brown and bad. I said, but there's always that little corner that's so green and beautiful. They said, we have no water. I said, do you have a drought? No, we don't have a drought. I said, why don't you have no water? Because the water isn't allowed to flow down. It's got a natural flow from Canada all the way up north of water, more water than they could ever use. And in order to protect a tiny little fish, the water up north gets routed into the Pacific Ocean. Millions and millions of gallons of water gets poured. You got to see this. We're driving up.
I mean, this is amazing here. You know, people give Trump so much shit. Look how smart he is and how much he understands this. And this is from what, like October?
Yeah, and he's talked about this for a long time. He talked about how Finland, I believe it was Finland, they called themselves a forest nation or a woodland nation or something like that. Yeah, and he said this is what they do. This is how they take care of it, and that's what you need to be doing. He was there talking to Gavin Newsom during his term, 2019. I forget what year it was, but like this is not something that snuck up on anybody, but it's definitely something that happens and appears to sneak up on incompetent people like Karen Bass, like Gavin Newsom, who don't prioritize the right stuff. They're prioritizing DEI instead of getting the freaking job done. See, I tried to put that coloring, that crayon back in the box there. I tried to freaking. Right. I picked a different crayon instead of what I wanted to say.
Good call.
But yeah, this Blake, so many people, so many memories of this area, so many people impacted, 1,000 structures burned down. There's no excuse for this. There is no excuse for this. So yeah,
right.
should
have been prevented.
Use the Fed
right
to clean it up. I mean, yeah, something's got to change. In California, might finally vote red again because they're sick of this shit. Hopefully.
Well, yeah. Now they got a reality check of how terrible these policies are. It's time to, anyway, goofing off and get some serious people in there. They're just wasting money and playing games and, blaming climate change and just all this DEI insanity. No, I hear you. And it's also the hypocrisy because remember they were all blasting Ted Cruz when I think he was in Cancun or something when he left, because I remember that when Texas got that weird cold front.
Yep.
And he took a lot of shit for that. But now, what were they doing? So that's interesting. James Wood blasting the leaders. Yeah, it's the kind of thing they have tribunals for. Perhaps that poor guy lost his house. What else we have? We have 2 quick stories to hit, and then we got to go.
Yeah, should the Trump administration use the feds to clean up Cali?
Well, this is, I can agree with that if we have some good feds, because that's like a conquered state over there, and there's a lot of issues there with leadership there in California, and you can't really even trust the election system because for all we know, there could be a lot more Republicans out there that we aren't aware of. Now, not necessarily in the Palisades or Santa Monica or some of these spots.
I think everywhere. And I think there was a good point made that they were counting the 2024 Trump presidential victory votes in California, and all of they dragged it out for a month, week after week after week after week, to try to create enough ballots, to locate enough ballots to flip several different seats. The Gavin Newsom recount, they had that figured out in like an hour. Oh, you know what? We counted all we need to count. Nothing to see here. And Larry Elder's like, I'm competent. I could do this job. I would like to fix what Gavin Newsom and the Democrats are breaking. Nope, nothing to see here. It reminds me of the Labor Party saying, oh, no, we already investigated ourselves, found there's nothing wrong. Moving on. Let's go to the next thing. No need to worry. But yeah, Cernovich, I mean, he's right here. Something has to change.
Yeah, there's been a lot of good commentary, from Adam Carolla and Cernovich, both lifelong, they're born and raised Californians. So
governor. Yeah, maybe the first governor since Arnold, the governor.
Right. So, but Mike Cernovich calling for the Trump administration to come in and fix all of the election fraud. Voter ID is outlawed. Voter rolls are bloated with dead and ineligible voters, and election day lasts like a month until Democrats can find and manufacture enough ballots to win a race 4 weeks later. Yeah, that was just a joke, that how long it took to count all the votes. So Cernovich is calling Trump to appoint a special czar to come in, take control of California's election systems and governance. And so, he's also saying there's probably going to be a lot of flipping from Democrat to Republican. So, Palisades and, Santa Monica, they're going to be 70% some Democrat, but probably not after this disaster.
Not after this. And ask. Here, let me just throw this one up. By the way, if you're not following the New American Media, actually, I need to switch it. If you're not following the New American Media on Instagram, you need to, because we share great shit on Instagram each day. But this is James Woods. I won't even play it because we're out of time here for today, keeping it tight. But after losing his home in the LA fires, James Woods says about LAFD's DEI-focused chief, our new fire chief, she put on her bio that her priority, my highest priority, is inclusion, diversity, and equity. And somebody forgot to fill all the reservoirs. There was a fire truck parked in front of my house, but they couldn't pump any water because there was none, because they didn't put them in the reservoirs, or they were damaged. Either way, your job is the most important priority, not this other crap to discriminate against men or straight people or white men or Christians or any of the stuff that this whole DEI has gone off on for the past 30 years. Wasting energy, wasting resources, wasting management. Do the job, train the people, innovate, create, come up with brilliant ideas. But this backward Democrat stuff has led to stuff like this. Every hour wasted on DEI is an hour you could have been doing something productive with yourselves. So shame on California, shame on DEI, shame on anybody associated with any of this stuff. So final topic about the insurance companies, Blake. I mean, were they wrong for canceling California plans?
No, as much as you might want to blame the insurance companies. I mean, we can go into the conspiracy theory of whether they were tipped off or they knew Some people are speculating that, and that is possible. I'm not going to go down that rabbit hole yet, but if they knew the dangers, and it's been dry, and like I said, they're not maintaining the forests, and it was just a big tinderbox ready to go up, plus with the cost of all of the homes. I mean, the real estate is so outrageously expensive over there. It's like a company like State Farm is, going to go out of business if they get stuck with all of that. So they kind of saw that, like, this is bad for them if there is a fire. It's an unfortunate situation for everybody, because now who's going to grab the bill? So yeah, they canceled months and months ago. So people were outraged, but yeah, it's a fire trap, and they have a business. So they canceled approximately 1,600 homeowner policies in the Pacific Palisades last summer. I mean, there are plenty of fires there. That just something that happens, and they haven't been doing a good job of getting them out. And so they pulled their policies, and it sucks for those people, the residents that got stuck there. Now what are they going to do?
And the state of California put restrictions on the insurance companies that wouldn't let them raise their rates. So they go, oh, so you mean that we can't properly charge people for the amount that it would take to cover this area? Okay, I guess we're just leaving then. We just, when you see a commercial, valid in all 50 states except for Alaska and Hawaii, the freak states, all contiguous United States, except for Alaska, Hawaii, or they'll put little exclusions, little disclaimers. Offers not valid in Kentucky and Missouri. Okay, I don't know why, but maybe because those states decided that they can't operate in those states, and that's what California did. They made it prohibitive for these companies to participate in their business model in their state, so they left. And so a lot of these people, these homes were actually uninsured. We're talking $8 million homes in the Palisades, in Malibu, in these areas. Times what we're around 1,000 homes, 1,000 structures, and this is just day 1.5. This is awful, man. Like, my heart breaks. I am a Californian. I'll always be a Californian. I'll be a partial Californian. I had to throw in the towel. I couldn't deal with all the crime that the city, the George Soros appointed district attorneys, they were not protecting the communities. And that was the final straw. I couldn't take it. I had to leave. And look at what the policies have led you to over here. What mechanisms stopped these fires once they happen? By the way, are these accidental or intentional? We haven't even gotten into that component yet, because I am not willing to. And who was it? Who was it? He filmed street people lighting a building on fire. Andrew Huberman filmed street people lighting a building on fire right in front of him. So how many of these that are breaking out in different areas is this eco-terrorism from the extreme left again? The far left? I don't know. There's a lot to unpack in the next day or two. Obviously, 72 hours. We never know the full story. We're doing the best we can. So please follow the New American Media in all of the places as we uncover these stories. On X at American_media_ on Rumble, the New American Media, YouTube, the New American Media, the Agree to Disagree show on Spotify, TNAM and TNAM chat on Signal and Telegram, patreon.com/the New American Media, all of the places, please, and Truth Social, the New American Media. Okay, any final thoughts, Blake, as we wrap today's show up?
Yeah, I think it's an interesting tweet just right there. It says the fire insurance being canceled doesn't need a conspiracy theory to explain. Insurance companies surveyed the areas they insured and realized that this was a fire trap. They also knew the local government was incompetent and would do nothing to fix it. And yeah, if you see the LA, if they're slashing their budget down and they're sending equipment to Ukraine and they're not cleaning out the forests and getting rid of all the tinder, yeah, they see this as a potential disaster and they pulled out. I'm not sure they don't want to cancel plans. They're making money, but they have so much more to lose if they have to, reimburse people for losing their homes. So much as I would love to attack greedy insurance companies, it just doesn't apply. It just terrible situation for all. So yes, Bass and Newsom need to resign, and it should be a big lesson for all the Democrats, not only in California, but nationwide. These are disastrous policies.
Kenneth saying insurance and repeat, rinse and repeat, insurance and repeat. Yeah. And insurance is like taxes. It's a scam. Yeah. I mean, there's got to be a better way. There's got to be a better way than denying health care to people to make a couple extra bucks. There's got to be a better way than just taking all the insurance out from a place that needs their homes covered by fire. This isn't working. These things are not working. We need to redesign this, and we need to do it immediately. Okay, we're out of time for today's show because I'm going to hit reset and come back on Strictly Football with Mike Barra. Maybe Blake Walley, who knows? Blake has an open invitation every single time. So regardless, follow us in all the places. We'll be back on Tuesday at 3 p.m. Eastern for a live show, and I'm just going to hit reset, and we're going to launch Strictly Football and talk about the playoffs. Playoffs. Say goodbye, Blake.
Goodbye. If the Vikings win this week, I'll do the next week.
Sounds like a plan. To be continued.
Skull Vikings. Thanks, Brian. All right,
Go Buccaneers. Go Baker.
Weekend. See you next week.
Baker Mayfield to win his first championship to prove all his haters wrong. As a Browns fan that hates what we did to him to run him out of town. All right, talk to you later, everybody. Pray for Los Angeles, even though that a lot of them don't deserve it. Pray for the people of Los Angeles. There are some good people out there, I assure you. All right.